Hello, happy Saturday, or whatever day you find this. Hope everyone is doing so well today. Me personally, well, it's like we always talk about, right? If you claim to be something, you're going to get a chance to prove it. So, oh, good. My sound works really good. Okay. So you'll get a chance to prove it, right? So guess who got sick? Yep. Guess who got a little bit of a sickness, a little bit of a flu, but that ain't going to slow us down. I could still read, even if I'm a little more sniffly in the wintertime, or then your regular wintertime sniffles. I know that, man, it seems like everybody's been catching a bad sickness for at least a short time on this winter. I know Zero told me he got it bad all the way down in Mexico. As if germs don't travel, huh? Okay, so today we will probably, at the very least, finish up this first part of the book. So that'll be chapter 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Oh, all right. I'm just getting the last bit of stuff on my end situated, and then we'll go ahead and get ripping. Sweet. Okay. So I hope everybody's been thoroughly enjoying this book. I know I definitely am on the second go through, and I'm certainly excited to continue. Okay. Anyway, enough yapping. Let's get to going. Everything, I'm good now on my end with everything. So we'll go ahead and start up with chapter 7, introspection and contemplation. Oh, that's what I'm forgetting. Music. I was like, why does it seem so extra quiet? So I'm not all the way situated on my end. I will be soon. Welcome in, everybody who's just coming in. Glad to have you. Happy Saturday. Okay, there we go. Now let's begin. Chapter 7, introspection and contemplation. One who practices daily introspection and self analysis can discover his defects and habits and remove them. This is very patient work. Through introspection, an aspirant gains knowledge of the laws and ways of the mind and can easily check its wanderings and manage it perfectly. During introspection, the rapid shifting of the mind from one line of thought to another can be clearly observed. Herein lies a chance to mold the mind properly and direct the thoughts and mental energy into the divine channel. Throw out worldly and useless thoughts, and do not allow the intruders of anger, greed, delusion, and pride to enter the mental factory. This is a stupendous task indeed, bless you, but success is sure with daily introspection. The practice demands patience, perseverance, tenacity, iron will, a subtle intellect, and courage. Concentration can be practiced uninterruptedly. The reward is invaluable. It is immortality, supreme peace, and infinite bliss. Well, that sounds pretty good. Find peace in the self. Man is essentially a spiritual being expressing himself through the mind and body. His innermost essence is the Atma, or divine spirit. Man is not this body, not his senses, or even his mind. These are only his vehicles. And that's the highlighter right there. Welcome in, everybody just coming in. Glad to have you here. Some dude. Welcome in. Hi, good to see you. Good to have you here. So, man is not this body, not his senses, or even his mind. These are only his vehicles. The body and mind are subject to change, decay, and death, whereas the real man, the immortal self, is never ending and eternal. Only a calm mind can grasp the truth, see the immortal self, and receive the divine light. The mind has the power to reflect, to look into its own depths. An aspirant must learn the art of making the mind introspective or turned inward upon itself. If you go above body consciousness, and if the mind rests in the self, then you are happy, peaceful, and free. Acquire the power of introspection. A Raja Yogi develops this power through self inquiry. When, by analyzing your own mind, you come face to face with something which is by its own nature eternally pure, perfect, self luminous, and unchanging, you will no longer be miserable or unhappy. One essence only exists, which is infinite, spotless, ever pure, and completely full. Contemplate upon it and be free from all pain with true calmness of mind. Become the silent witness. Welcome in, everybody who's just coming in. Glad to have you here. Enter into silence now, from today, in a dark, quiet room. Watch the mind carefully. Be patient. Do not identify with the restless, unbalanced mind. Be a sakshi, or a silent witness. When there is indifference towards all enjoyments, and when the powerful indriyas, or senses, are turned inwards, and the ajnana, or ignorance of the mind, is destroyed, only then will all the noble words of the wise men infiltrate the disciple's mind. It is the modification of the mind, the vrittis, that bind one to objects. Be a silent witness to the activities of the mind, and there will no longer be bondage. Be the seer of the mind's dramatic performances, and not involved with the mind itself. When you see a person suffering from colic, you do not feel any pain yourself, but when you get the same colic, you cry out and experience intense agony. Why? Because you identify with the body. If there is no ego identification, you will not feel any pain. This can come only when you become the witness. Excuse me, this can come only when you become the witness, when there is identification with the absolute. Through introspection and contemplation, separate yourself from the thought waves and the fourfold mind. Some dude, if you're loving this, then thank you, man. I'm glad you're rocking with me. Okay. Mind, intellect, subconscious mind, and ego, and stand aloof as the witness in your original all blissful nature. Contemplate the words, I am neither prana nor the senses. I am quite distinct from these. I am the witness of their activities. I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa. Coop TGS, welcome in, brother. Good to see you. Good to have you. This alone is sufficient for practice. Contemplate the idea that the body is the temple of the radiant and self effulgent spirit, or Atma within, which controls all the faculties of the mind and the body. Be aware that you are breathing the breath of the spirit and not a physical breath. You have a body, but you are not the body. You have a mind, but you are not the mind. The body and mind are instruments, like the tools of a carpenter. This body is an instrument or a servant of the soul, not its prison. When discrimination dawns, one will see the Atman within. Sit peacefully, discriminate. Thinking causes identification with the body, I-ness and mindness, time and space. Stop this thinking through dispassion and practice and merge yourself in the pure consciousness where there is no thinking. Dissociate from the thoughts and the mind, which is the thinking principle or entity. Identify with the innermost self and become the silent witness. This is liberation while living. There you have it. Continue the practice of mental quiet. Only when the subtle desires are annihilated is mental tranquility possible. Gradually, all thoughts will die by themselves. You will become one with the Supreme Self or Para Brahman. Self inquiry. Self inquiry is the effort to keep the mind always concentrated on Atman or Brahman, the center of equilibrium within. Real peace can only be had in one's own self, where there is neither pleasure nor pain. It is an embodiment of peace. To enjoy the bliss of the self, the mind will have to be transcended. First, conquer the mind through inquiring, who am I? Until the blissful self knowledge dawns, sadhana must be practiced regularly, and the teachings of the Guru and the scriptures followed implicitly. Do not stop thinking of God even for half a second. Become one whose sole refuge is meditation on Om with feeling and meaning. The Atman is the only real everlasting abode of perennial peace and deep abiding joy, wherein this fluctuating, restless mind can find permanent rest. Sages like Shankara, Dattatreya, Mansur, Madalasa, Gargi, Chudalai, Jesus, and others reached this destination after strenuous struggle and exertion. If you can rest in your center, nothing can affect you and throw you off balance. If you can stay in time with the infinite, if you can stay in tune with the infinite, you will have a poised and balanced mind. A small fishing boat is tossed about hither and thither even by ordinary waves, but a big steamer remains unshaken even though violent waves dash against it with tremendous impetuosity. In the same way, a worldly person with a fickle mind is tossed about even by the small waves of likes and dislikes, whereas a saint with a balanced and serene mind remains in the world without being in the least affected by the stormy waves of troubles and tribulations. He is always resting peacefully in the perpetual calm of the absolute self. The state is the yoga of that state is the yoga of equanimity. Whenever you are very worried, very depressed, or in severe pain, remember that you are the Atman, which is the nature of peace and serenity. Yep. So that's been my challenge right now. A little bit is you get sick, you gotta put your money where your mouth is. Nature prescribed the sickness. Use a little bit of that fun NLP to say, hey, this is what nature prescribed. Clearly, I gotta purge out some things. I gotta sweat out some things. It's all part of the game. And then also residing in that, because last night even I read a quote from Maharaj where when he was asked about, I didn't even know that that's how he died. I mean, I haven't really looked up a whole lot, but apparently he got cancer. And so when asked about his cancer, he said something to the effect of, this is all of the body, and let the body have its karma. You know what I mean? What I reside in the thing that is unaffected. I reside in the places that's completely unaffected by that. So, been trying to do that as I got these nice sweats, this nice feeling of a sickness. Okie dokie. Withdraw the mind from objects and worldly thoughts and fix it on the Atman. Just as you know that flowering mango trees will give mangoes soon, know that you will attain knowledge of the identity of the Supreme Self or Atman when the flower of equanimity blossoms in your mind. The mind will move inward only when the outgoing tendencies of the mind are arrested, when all its attention is turned on itself alone. An aspirant can do a lot of sadhana when he attains this state, Vairagya and introspection help a lot in the attainment of this mental state. Learn the art of making the mind introspective or turned inward upon itself through pratyahara. Peace can only be found within, not in external objects. Peace does not come by fretting and fuming. Peace ensues out of calmness and strength. Dive within and introspect. Search within. See if you are practicing the tenets of your own resolve to attain equanimity. If the answer is no, make a firm resolve to do so. Peace of mind is bound to follow as day follows night. Look within. Enter into the great calm or the secret place of the Most High. All right. And that does chapter 7. So I'm going to take a drink and then we'll go ahead and start chapter 8. Okay. Chapter 8, concentration and meditation. Through the practices of concentration and meditation, the yogi loses contact with sense objects and comes into contact with the immortal self within, and thus enjoys the supreme peace of Brahman. Aspirants awaken. Sensual pleasures are transitory or fleeting, but the bliss of Brahman is uninterrupted, undecaying, and everlasting. That is the reason why one should attempt to realize the self within. By concentration and meditation practices, the yogi removes the obstacles that stand in the way of obtaining union with the Lord and thus keeps the mind steady in the self. Concentration. Concentration is the way to get rid of worldly miseries and thus attain a balanced and steady mind. Man is born to practice concentration and through concentration to realize the self. That is the purpose for which he has taken birth in a human body. However, he forgets this duty due to attachment to family, children, money, power, position, respect, name, and fame. Smitty143, what's up? Welcome. Smitty143 says, Amen. Facts. Concentration of mind is one of the most difficult and tedious virtues in the world to achieve. The most outstanding habit, Smitty143 says, I go to church every Sunday morning. Nice. Sweet. I was going to go to church tomorrow morning, but now that I've got this sickness, it's probably not a good idea to go to church. So next Sunday, I'll be there. That's what's up. Good for you. Okay. The most outstanding habit of the mind is that it cannot stick to one point without a sustained and devoted effort to spiritual sadhana. If you watch the mind carefully, you will discover that it wanders wildly about, like an unchained monkey. Yet, concentration means to unite the rays of the mind at one point, to bring the mind back again and again to one chosen point or idea. So bear in mind that perfect one pointedness is not achieved in just a day. Always remember that the effect and the spiritual impressions of a little sadhana will always remain. Nothing is ever lost in sincere sadhana. That is the immutable law of nature. Practice one pointedness regularly for 1 or 2 years and be firm in it. You will not be able to detect the slight improvements that come out of a little practice as you do not have a subtle intellect and have many kinds of impurities from beginningless time. Yet, little by little, the tossing of the mind will quieten down and the state of samadhana will be attained. Mental balance, stability of mind, and mental peace will be attained. This is the fruit of constant and protracted sadhana. Do not worry if the mind wanders during the early stages of concentration practice. Be regular Slowly, the mind will automatically turn Godward. And once it tastes the bliss of the self, nothing will be able to shake it. Concentration purifies and calms the surging emotions, and the mind becomes calm, serene, and steady. The various rays of the mind are collected and focused on the object of contemplation. There will be no tossing of the mind. The whole energy of the mind is concentrated on one idea, and penetrative insight is acquired. The senses become still and do not function. Steady and systematic practice of Raja Yoga, beginning with the yamas and niyamas, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara, will purify and prepare the mind for concentration. Seek out an expert teacher and devote oneself relentlessly to sadhana. The vital point in concentration is to bring the mind to the same point or object again and again by limiting its movement to a small circle. In the beginning, that is the main aim. Through dispassion, pratyahara, and the practice of concentration, the dissipated rays of the wandering mind are slowly collected. Through steady practice, it is rendered one pointed. After one pointedness is attained, full restraint of the thoughts and emotions needs to be achieved. Then one must continue one sadhana until all the modifications of the mind subside completely. Eventually, the mind will become blank or void. Even then, one will have to rise above this void and be ready to contemplate and identify with the silent witness of the mind, known as the self or Purusha. At this point, the aspirant is ready to take up meditation practice, not before. Meditation. If the mind is not kept clean by regular practice of meditation, it becomes unbalanced or impure. Meditation removes the dross of the mind, kills all the pain and suffering, and destroys all the causes of sorrow. Learn to exercise supreme control over the nerve currents, muscles, and calm the bubbling emotions, sentiments, instincts, and impulses gradually through regular silent meditation. By gradual and systematic practice, a new orientation can be given to the feelings. The worldly mind can be entirely transmuted into a divine mind, serene and balanced. In this way, meditation allows an aspirant access to the realms of everlasting peace. To purify, to concentrate, to meditate, and to realize one's divine essence is the foremost duty of everyone. During meditation, the mind is calm and steady. Perfect harmony, undisturbed happiness, and abiding peace will be enjoyed. One will attain the yoga of equanimity, Samatvam, when meditation becomes deep, perfect awareness and the inner silence of the soul will be experienced. This supreme peace cannot be attained without first having removed the impurities of the mind through japa, service, giving, pranayama, and so on. And then following the path of introspection, contemplation, and meditation. Without the help of meditation, the veils that cover the soul, the Atman, cannot be removed. Gradually, reasoning and reflection will give place to awareness. If you can meditate for half an hour, you will be able to engage yourself with peace and spiritual strength in the battle of life for 1 week through the force of this meditation. Such is the beneficial result of this meditation. Meditation will give you the strength and peace to associate with people of different natures in your daily life without trouble and worry. Sit down with a composed mind and assert your mastery over the body, mind, and senses. After some months of regular daily meditation practice, the craving or hankering nature of the mind will slowly vanish, and things which used to upset you easily will no longer touch you. You have gained the strength, endurance, resistance, and the power to deal with the troubles. The whole mind will become quiet. Unkind words will no longer trouble you. Even if you become irritable and show signs of anger, you are now able to compose yourself quickly. These are all signs of gaining mental balance. One who has the power of discrimination is the happiest. He is God Himself. His joy is indescribable. He should be adored. Meditation brings about all these beneficial results. Meditation is keeping up one idea, be it Nirguna Brahman, Saguna Brahman, or an abstract idea. Meditation follows concentration where all the rays of the mind are focused on to a single thought. Ultimately, even this single thought gives place to just awareness and illumination, where all problems dissolve. When one enters into deep meditation, there is no consciousness of one's body or surroundings. No sounds will be heard. The consciousness of egoism will also will gradually vanish. If one frees oneself from the clutches of the mind, Samatvam will come by itself. There is no doubt about this. By meditation on God, pure thoughts emanate from the mind, because God is purity. If one has control over the thoughts, then mental torments, cares, worries, and anxieties will disappear. All the processes of worldly life, all the miseries of births and deaths will then come to an end. You will attain equanimity of the mind. Inexplicable serenity and indescribable happiness will be experienced. My child, meditate. Come into the deep, deep quiet. Come into the profound, infinite silence or peace. Okay. Just like he is right there, there's the Swami right there. That's cool. We got a couple color pictures in here. We'll take a look at those real quick. And then that'll do it for chapter 8. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here we are. Okay. One last picture. Sick with the red and the crown of flowers. All right, then. So, take another drink real quick. And then chapter 9, Karma Yoga. Okay. Chapter 9, Karma Yoga. Serve. Through love, unselfish service, and selfless giving, all the conflicting aspects of the personality can be united and equanimity attained. Serving others balances the mind and emotions. Therefore, as the aspirant goes about his daily life, he should hold the attitude that his duty is to serve others. By means of selfless and humble service to the poor and the afflicted, the heart can be purified and made a fit abode for God to dwell in. Losing the sense of I-ness and mindness will help the aspirant to control his own mind, even his entire personality. Fix the mind on the Lord and give the hands to worldly activities. Always repeat the name of the Lord while at work. Through gradual practice, one will be able to keep a portion of the mind engaged in japa and meditation on the Lord, while another portion of him will be on one's work, which is actually worship of him. This is karma yoga and bhakti yoga combined. There is no need to retire from a worldly life. Samatvam can be realized even while remaining in the world if this method is adopted. This is the master key to open the doors of the realms of supreme peace. This is the secret of karma yoga and the secret of success in Samatvam yoga. Work elevates the aspirant who serves with the spirit of selflessness. There is a peculiar joy and bliss in this practice. While working, especially with others, watch every action and reaction within yourself. In the beginning, all your actions may be selfish. Scrutinize your motives, purify them, and struggle hard. When anything pricks your conscience, abandon it, and do not be tempted by the power of self gratification and self aggrandizement. While working, endeavor to overcome anger by love, falsehood by truth, greed by generosity, and pride by humility. Every day is a fresh beginning. Forget past mistakes and failures. After some years of hard, incessant struggle, your actions will become purely unselfish. Enter a new life of victory over the mind. March on and on. Be up and doing. Exert. Purify. Worldly minded people cannot understand the spirit of selfless service. The mind is so framed that it cannot work without expecting fruits or anticipating rewards for actions. Passionate beings cannot dream of doing any work without expecting some gain for themselves and their family. They are always tense and worried that events will not work out in their favor. This is the inborn nature of a worldly minded person. How can a person do karma yoga if he is extremely selfish, if he has no self restraint? If you want everything for yourself, if you are luxurious and have not reduced your wants, how can you spare something for others? The mind will never find balance and peace. However, when the thought of doing good to others becomes part and parcel of one's very being, then one will take immense delight in serving others without any expectation of rewards. An underlying sense of contentment and quietness will be felt within. All right, hang on one sec. I need to grab a tissue. I need to wipe my nose. Okay. Oh, all right. Surely one can take the initiative to serve and do good to others. Knowledge can be imparted to the illiterate and the ignorant, monetary help extended to the poor and the needy, orphans educated, and contributions made to the institutions that care for them. Indeed, one can always provide something useful and beneficial to others. Why should there be any hesitation in regard to being really helpful to others? Free the mind of all restrictions. By serving others, the mind will become serene and the heart will be happy. Love. Serve everyone with intense love, without the idea of doership. By working for others without expecting appreciation, one learns to be kind and compassionate. Develop all embracing love. Feel for others as you feel for yourself. Feeling oneness with others is Atmabhava. Unite with all and feel the calmness within. Separation is death, imbalance, conflict, and dissatisfaction. Unity is eternal serenity, composure, and happiness. This sadhana will give unimaginable peace of mind. Expand your heart and think that this whole world is your own self. An aspirant should also learn thought transference, the method of sending out a continuous stream of healing, loving, and helpful thoughts to others and the whole world at large. This is silent, selfless service to humanity. You should know how to remove distraction and collect all your thoughts and send them out as a battalion of helpful forces to do good to those who are suffering. Just as the Ganga brings joy and coolness to those who live on its banks, so also one's strong thoughts of love and peace must flow out as a healing stream to bring solace and peace to those whose minds are filled with cares and worries. Love expects no reward. Love knows no fear. Divine love gives, it does not demand. Love thinks no evil, imputes no motive. To love is to share and serve. Worshipping God in others will bring the great quality of mental peace, which will allow you to remain equipoised. Thus, you will be able to achieve the goal for which God has given this human body. Right, what we call in magic the true will. Selfless work elevates and brings freedom to the mind and emotions. Selfish work unbalances the mind and retards spiritual progress. Working without any kind of motive leads to purity and inner strength. Become a Nishkama Karma yogi, one who dedicates all actions to God. What an expanded heart you will have. When discrimination dawns, when the mind is filled with more purity, the spirit of selflessness begins to grow slowly. The mind has to be tamed very cautiously to work in a disinterested manner. While engaged in selfless service, an insidious feeling of self approbation may creep in unnoticed. This may later manifest in the form of an indulgent attitude and a lofty contempt for those who are not following a similar life. Constant humility, kept alive by ceaselessly exercising it in serving others, is the sure armor against this foe. Discipline the mind with patience and perseverance. If you find it difficult to work without any motive, have one strong, pure motive when you work to worship God. This will destroy all other lower selfish motives, which will eventually die by themselves. The inner peace and joy gained from selfless activity is boundless. If the motive is pure, purity of mind will be obtained. If the motive is impure, if you expect fruits for your actions, you will have to return to this world to reap those fruits. You will be entrapped in the never ending wheel of births and deaths. Oh, man. We really get ourselves good, huh? Give. Give in plenty, in humility with joy and with joy. In the very process of giving, you will enrich yourself too. Peace of mind comes to one who gives joy and happiness to others. Give of yourself for the well being of the world. Only through selfless activities, unattached work, and loving service can one acquire the precious gems of purity, patience, and humility which lead to equanimity. Giving and not identifying with actions purifies the mind and heart and prepares one to receive divine grace and spiritual peace. Give of yourself for the well being of the world. For a beginner, selfless service is easier than self inquiry. Gyan Yoga. It purifies the heart and prepares the mind for the attainment of Atmagyana, the knowledge of the self. By gradual practice and purification of the mind, you can become an expert in karma yoga. True Nishkama yogis are able to remain unshaken by grief and loss, anger and malice, lust and greed, hatred and jealousy. They are always calm and serene through though engaged in ceaseless action. Thus, they always maintain a balanced mind. In this manner, all their actions are done perfectly and selflessly. The Karma yogi should take up Gyan yoga as soon as his heart and mind are purified. This is the goal of selfless service. All his actions will then culminate in Gyan, or spiritual wisdom. Karma, bhakti, and Raja yogas are means to the end, Atma Jnana. Just as rivers join the sea, so also karma, bhakti, and Raja yogas join the ocean of Jnana Yoga. Perform action for purification. Plunge into selfless service. Actions done unselfishly, purely in service of the Lord, do not bind the devotee and purify the heart. Otherwise, your actions will bind you to samsara, the wheel of births and deaths, however good or glorious they may be. Have equal vision, geez. Have equal vision and a balanced mind in success and failure, in heat and cold, in honor and dishonor, in pleasure and pain, in happiness and sorrow, in health and sickness. Huh? If you give up selfishness, meanness, attachment, and egoism, you will be free from the bonds of karma. Supreme peace, eternal bliss, and immortality will be attained. This is the yoga of equanimity, Samatvam. Be ever active and at the same time feel inwardly that you are the non doer and non enjoyer. Take a deep interest in everything and yet be perfectly unattached. Lord Krishna asks us to act, but to act only with devotion to Him and without desire for the fruits of the actions. See me in everything. Surrender yourself to me. Do all actions for my sake. Cut off attachments. Have perfect, unswerving devotion to me. Sing my glories. Live in the spirit of these teachings. Once you have tasted the bliss of selfless service, you can never leave it. You will begin to feel that this whole world is a manifestation of God. Sunshine Chick, what up? Welcome in. Good to see you. Good to have you here. The spirit of self sacrifice will grow. Immense faith, inner strength, and purity of heart will be gained. The heart will be filled with sympathy, mercy, and pure love. Selfishness, greed, egoism, feelings of superiority, vanity, pride, and hatred contract the heart and stand in the way of developing peace of mind. Melt and destroy the barriers that separate one human being from another. Feel that the whole world is your body, your own home. Even after years of intense sadhana, equal vision and equipoise cannot be attained unless jealousy, backbiting, and all forms of selfishness are removed from the ego. It is nonsense to say, I am meditating for 6 hours daily. First, the mind must be purified through selfless service for an extended period. Do not wrestle or struggle with the mind. Constant selfless service with Atmabhava is highly efficacious in balancing the mind. Serve, love, and give. By excelling in selfless service, supreme tranquility of mind is experienced. Alongside selfless service, be regular in concentration and meditation. May peace, joy, bliss, and immortality abide in you forever and ever. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, sick. So that is the end of part one. Because since this is from the teachings of the two different Swamis, so now the second part is going to be the teachings of Swami Satyananda Saraswati, whereas that first one was Sivananda, I believe. Yeah, Swami Sivananda Saraswati. So, a little over 40 minutes. Do I want to start this next part or do we want to wait? Mm, well, what do you guys think for the few who are in here? Should we keep going or should we call that good for today? All right, screw it. We'll do it. Except I feel a sneeze coming, so be ready because it might be loud. I don't know. It keeps teasing me. It keeps like kind of coming and then, but I don't get it. But just have a heads up. Okay, so chapter 10, a philosophy of Samatvam. The spiritual aspirant has to become an expert at living between the positive and negative events of life. Sometimes there is success and sometimes failure. Both knock you about this way and that. Happiness throws you over to unhappiness, and unhappiness throws you back to happiness. And you are kicked about like a football from one to the other. In order to obtain balance of mind, you do not have to change your life. You just have to develop a new kind of philosophy. Philosophical detachment. What is that philosophy? If we call it detachment, that does not cover the entire philosophy of yoga, because externally you will remain in the thick and thin of life and not abandon even one item. Your work, relationships, fruits of action, consequences, reversals, and defeats all have to be experienced. You cannot escape or reject any experiences. If you try to ignore them in your waking hours, they will live with you in sleep and dreams. They will follow you throughout your life because you have to work them all out. Every experience, you know what? You gotta highlight that for sure. You cannot escape or reject any experiences. If you try to ignore them in your waking hours, they will live with you in sleep and dreams. They will follow you throughout your life because you have to work them all out. Keep that in mind, huh? Okie dokie. Every experience is valuable. Even if you are suffering because of your husband, wife, children, or friends, or because of certain complexes like inferiority, superiority, and narcissism, or you have guilt or sin or a perverse sexual nature, you have to manage it. It does not matter if you are arrogant and obstinate or very good and charitable, or if you exploit or are exploited by your friends. You have to learn from that experience. You do not have to fight with your attachments or to force detachment, but you must be able to find a way through. Mental balance is sadhana. Rather than philosophical detachment, it is more appropriate to call this philosophy mental balance. Detachment takes time to develop. It is not so easy that you can start doing it from today. It is not just saying, no, I am not related to you. I am not attached to you. You are related to everybody: father, mother, sisters, brothers, and cousins. And from time to time, things happen between people which damage the mind and completely destroy its mental structure. As a result, one's perspective on life can be thrown completely off balance, and then everything goes out of order. However, one cannot proceed on the spiritual path with a damaged mind. So, it is more apt to name this philosophy mental balance for the reason that every aspirant must be very careful to hold the mind steady under all conditions. Always aim to attain and maintain mental balance. Things keep coming and they will touch you, yet you must still keep moving. Somehow, you must be able to remain above all the clamor. Do not allow anything to overwhelm you. Do not worry. It may be impossible to be 100% true to your convictions at all times, but still you should try to, but still you should try because nothing should injure your mind. Mental balance is a sadhana. It means it is a means of taking care of the mind. Our relationships have always been tense and painful, creating fears, sorrows, tensions, stress, and many other experiences, but that should change. Experiences come and go, and one should learn to observe them and to become the witness. Understanding the witness. Mental equilibrium is maintained by remaining a witness. One definition of yoga is an art by which we become a spectator of all the experiences of awareness. It is almost a process of disunion. For when we begin to expand our awareness and become the witness, we are separating ourselves from our external consciousness. When consciousness functions through the senses, it is called sense consciousness. When it functions through the mind, it is called mind consciousness, and so on. But when consciousness functions without any obstructing filter, then it is known as cosmic awareness, divine awareness, transcendental awareness. Knowledge, incorrect knowledge, and absence of knowledge are the individual forms of consciousness which we experience every day. They are patterns of consciousness which function through mediums. If you listen to my lecture, your awareness is functioning through the auditory medium. If I am looking at you and you are looking at me, our consciousness is functioning through the ocular medium. If you are thinking about my lecture, your consciousness is functioning through the intellectual medium. In these ways, the pure, formless, and nameless awareness has a form and a name. Who experiences pain and pleasure? Who understands things and who makes mistakes? It is the individual, pure awareness, but through various mediums or filters. This pure consciousness is like formless light in front of which a film is running of perception, audition, feeling, knowing, moving, understanding, and incorrect understanding. We see everything that is taking place in front of us, for this world is a play of perceptions, an experience of perceptions, an expression of consciousness through mediums or filters. When these filters are removed, there is no life, no perception. There is only one experience which never ceases to exist. It exists without interruption in all places and all circumstances, at all times, whether mediums or filters are there or not. The fact is that my consciousness, your consciousness, consciousness itself can exist, will exist, and has been existing eternally. Yogis knew the certainty of the continuation of consciousness. They discovered that in every being there is something which can exist without any medium. And they started trying to work out ways to develop that state at will, voluntarily. In yoga, this is what is meant by being the witness. We can define yoga, therefore, as a process by which we can make our consciousness free from any medium of knowledge or identification. Try to understand that everything you come across in life, every person and event, is actually neutral in nature. Highlight that. It is neither the source of pain nor the source of joy, but due to a defective philosophy, you have suffered and attributed your suffering to these events, objects, and persons. In your new philosophy, an absolute distinction has to be made whereby no object, event, person, or experience can become a source of positive or negative response, where nothing can disturb your equipoise. This is the philosophy of Samatvam Yoga. Live like a lotus. When this new philosophy comes into your life, externally everything remains the same, but the relationships with each and everything you are related to change. This change is for a great spiritual purpose, to attain peace and equanimity of mind. This peace leads to the highest bliss and liberation from the bondage of worldly existence. One has to live like a lotus in water. A lotus is born in water, lives in water, and survives by water, but remains absolutely dry. We are all born into the world and survive by the world because without the world, there is nothing. There is no noise in the world, there is no peace in the Himalayas. Both are within you. You can attain the highest yoga. You can have the darshan of God if you can make your mind still and peaceful. While it is true that one can have darshan of God even at home, it is also a fact that one can find peace in the world as well. We are all born into the world and survived by the world because without the world, there is nothing. There is no noise in the world, there is no peace in the Himalayas. Both are within you. Okay, try to understand the depth, universality, and eternity of your nature through life itself. Perfect happiness and supreme peace are experienced only after one has introspected and analyzed oneself, and then taken to the path of sadhana, and thus determined to lead a virtuous and divine life. The process leading to the state of Samatvam is an art, a method of wrestling with one's own mind. It is a process of becoming the witness, and a process through which one frees the mind from its limitations. In the final state of this process, one gains light, peace, tranquility, understanding, wisdom, joy, and bliss. The art of equanimity is a virtue in itself. It must be complete. It is essential for the beginner to have faith in higher possibilities, to keep on removing unnecessary thoughts, to correct the mind, and to become the detached witness. This material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. Always remind yourself that which is favorable for attaining supreme consciousness should be accepted, and that which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. All right, that does it for chapter 10. Let me see how long 11 is. Pretty short. We'll do 11 too, and then probably call it a day. Unless some, we'll see, because maybe 12 is one of those ones. Some of these are literally, you already know, just a page or two. And then you'll get some of those that are like 10 page chapters. All right, well, 11's a good number. We know we love the number 11, so we'll definitely do that one and then probably call it a day. Page 72, huh? Zero. Peace, Jay Baldell. Much love. Much love to you, man. I'm glad you made it in. Hey, if you still want to jump on a phone call, we definitely can too. Okay, chapter 11. How to attain equanimity. To attain equanimity of mind, sages and thinkers down through the ages have been teaching us to live in this world like the tongue lives amongst a set of 32 teeth. How perilous its condition. At any moment, the tongue can be bitten to pieces, but despite this, it manages to remain unharmed. Similarly, human beings should be as dexterous as the tongue and learn to live in the midst of life's struggles without being affected, to face all the ups and downs, hopes and despairs without being tainted. Not allowing the mind to be affected negatively by contradictions of life is the yoga of equanimity. Okay, zero, yep, no problem at all. We'll see when I get off here. I'll shoot you a message then. Contradiction is the law of life, progress and mobility. There is contradiction everywhere in creation. There is no uniform philosophy in life. If there were no contradictions or adverse situations, there would be no progress or evolution. The very fact of existence itself is a contradiction. Therefore, rather than worrying about the various contradictions in our life, whether emotional, mental, or intellectual, we need to find a way of accepting contradictions and conflicts and still remain harmonious and balanced. Have a goal and a philosophy of life. If people know and somehow experience that life has spiritual purpose, and have a goal and a philosophy of divine life to live by so as to attain that purpose, then all will be well. One must be involved in life, but at the same time, one must develop a deeper, higher, more perpetual, enduring, and abiding awareness. In order to live according to a higher philosophy, one needs a yogic base. Take up a yogic philosophy of vairagya, non attachment or dispassion, dhyana, meditation, and anasakti, the process of detachment. These concepts symbolize a dynamic approach to life and the very purpose of existence. A householder often has no higher goal or philosophy. He is just living. However, the true goal and final destiny of mankind cannot be property, material wealth, provident funds, begetting children, and educating them. Although human beings experience unlimited desires, ambitions, and passions, which should not be denied, it is the soul or Atman which has to be realized. We cannot regard an individual as just a citizen, a patriot, a father, a mother, an employee, or a member of society. Rather, we should consider the spirit as being the substratum of all other roles we play in life. As far as total cosmic existence is concerned, a spiritual aspirant has only one destination: self realization. When you realize that this is the purpose of your human incarnation, you will become a sincere seeker of eternal peace and you will work to become liberated from the endless cycle of karma. Have patience. Hey, that's a lot like what Jay tells us. To achieve the state of equanimity, try to integrate and harmonize both the internal and external elements of life. To do this, there is actually nothing to give up, nothing to reject. As you evolve, many habits, addictions, and experiences are left behind. As you grow older, your hair grows gray and your teeth fall out. It is a natural process. In the same way, what we call the sensualities of life, the infirmities of willpower, the habits and weaknesses will all fall away one by themselves without you having to do anything. We are all subject to the laws of universal or cosmic nature. And according to those laws, we have a certain type of personality, a certain way of thinking, a certain kind of conviction, and certain types of strengths and weaknesses from time to time. But we should not worry about it or try to get out of it. We should wait. We must have patience. If we have patience, we will find that in the course of time, like a snake, those scales will be thrown off automatically or will eventually drop away because habits and addictions are transitory. All the thoughts that go through the mind are impermanent. They keep moving like a flowing river. That's like what Mothra was saying about the snake shedding its skin, just like the mind, constantly changing, transitory. Should I better just highlight that last bit too. Okay. Respect yourself. Every spiritual aspirant must respect his own personality completely. You should never suffer from guilt complexes, sin, and negativity. You are an integral part of the cosmic drama, and therefore, you are playing your part. Once you are convinced about your stage in life, and have respect for yourself, for your physical body, for your wife, husband, and children, state of mind, moral philosophy, ethics, and religion, you will make rapid spiritual progress. However, if you suffer from inferiority complexes, you will constantly be thinking, I am not a good person. I am evil minded. I am weak. I am sensual. I am not fit for spiritual life. These kinds of thoughts do not belong to a spiritual aspirant who aspires to yoga. This attitude does nothing to harmonize or balance the mind and body. Whether you are sensual, anti-sensual, or hyposensual does not matter. Accept it. Then, whatever form of yoga you do will produce astounding results and give you experiences very fast. Zero says, exhaustion is something I experience in some habits throughout the process in the sadhana. Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's why it's best to, like I think I've said before, to have a sadhana or your spiritual disciplines. For anybody who doesn't know what sadhana means, that's just your spiritual practices, your disciplines, your prayers, your mantras, your if you do like hatha yoga poses, if you do meditation, all that falls in your sadhana. Pentagram rituals for magicians, stuff like that falls into the category that all just falls in your sadhana. So yeah, that's why I always say that it's best to have a sadhana where you could kind of put it in maybe in steps, where you have that lowest step, a medium step, and then your highest step. So that way, when you're really trying to go hard, or when you're able to go hard, you're not too exhausted. You can just hit that highest step, no problem. On the days you're maybe feeling a little more tired, but you still have some good energy, maybe go to that more middle level. And then on those days when you're so beat, drop down to that bottom level to where you're at least still just doing like that one or two things. You know what I mean? Like right now where I'm sick, unfortunately, they say that you shouldn't do certain aspects of sadhana when you're sick. So I've had to tone down. So pretty much right now, I'm just focusing on like prayers, the little bit of prayers and invocations, and that's plenty good. You know what I mean? That's still great. And then once this sickness wears off, then I'll be hopping right back in on the rest of the stuff that I normally do when I've got full health and energy. Zero says acceptation. You mean exception? Exception is something really important, more than I ever can imagine. Beautiful. Facts. I think you mean exception. Thank you. Zero says I hope you get better. Me too. I should. It started coming on last night. I was out working and all of a sudden I started feeling those body aches. You know how when you start getting that flu or whatever and your skin just feels all sensitive, and then the temperature started fluctuating. So, and today I'm feeling about the same. It's kind of coming in waves, but no reason to trip. Like I said at the start of this stream, it just gives me a chance to put my money where my mouth is on the quit resisting nature. Clearly, nature prescribed this for me so that I can get whatever crap out of my system I need to get out. And Coop says, I agree. Sadhana can be reduced to inner work just laying down. Sick facts. All right, let's continue. Be regular in sadhana. First, have respect for your lifestyle and your personality. And second, be regular in your sadhana at any cost. Every day without fail, with absolute regularity, devote a minimum of 10 minutes to your yoga practice so as to connect with your inner nature, with that place of stillness, silence, and peace within. There is no need to think, oh, my mind is not steady, my mind is not tranquil, my mind is not one pointed. This is the most important part of sadhana. Whether you are well or ill, whether or not you have faith, whether or not you understand, whether or not you get results. It is very difficult to maintain regularity in spiritual practice for at least a few years. It is not difficult to take up yoga and to start practicing sadhana, but to continue is difficult. To establish regularity takes time, not just 6 months. It can easily take 2 or 3 years, after which you can say, yes, regularity has been established. Now I can go ahead with 3 hours of sadhana. In that lies the secret of one's success. For 10 minutes, sit calmly and quietly with the body absolutely still, with the eyes closed and gaze inward. either at the nose tip, the mid eyebrow center, the heart center, or the navel center. Fix your inner gaze at one of these points. You can practice your mantra, meditation on a form or symbol, concentration on the breath or on the light at the mid eyebrow center, on your symbol in the heart or in the navel center, at whatever point you have chosen for this practice. If you have time, practice more. Whatever you practice, however, remember that regularity is of the greatest importance. It is not the quantum of practice, but regularity, which will ultimately give inner peace and equanimity of mind. Continually analyze yourself to see how the knocks of life are affecting your inner state of mind, the divine quality within you. An aspirant's life must be of such nobility and so fulfilling that the onslaughts, tremors, and shocks from family, friends, and enemies just do not affect him. If these things draw your awareness, you must be aware of them, but at the same time remain unshaken. You will find that your mind spontaneously attains tranquility. Whether your philosophy is based on religion, on Raja Yoga, or on Bhakti, it must emerge from the depths of your heart, so that one day when you sit for meditation, your consciousness shoots up like a rocket and goes to the highest point of samadhi. That sounds pretty good. Okay, that's it. Chapter 11, done. And yep, I think we'll go ahead and call it there. So thank you all for rocking with me today. As we finished up the first part, went ahead and got into the second, and we will see you again probably tomorrow. But if I take a day off, it might be tomorrow. So if so, then I'll see you Monday. I appreciate you so very much for stopping in, everybody. Zero, Cook TGS, Sunshine Chick, but also the newcomers. Let's see, Smitty143, thank you for popping in. Some dude, N6L, thank you for popping in. Oh, I didn't even see. We had a comment here from Tom Z8Y6Z. He said, Psycho-cybernetics can only go so far, sir. That manifesting miracles BS. It has some merit, but there's a limit. To be fair, indulging into religion help combat psychosomatic illness. Well, sick, man. Thank you for your advice. Appreciate you. I don't know how I missed that one. I didn't see it here, but I got it over. Oh, you know what? That's probably because on the one I've got where it'll bring up all messages, and on the other one it doesn't show me certain messages. Huh. Well, whatever. Anyway, thank you, Sunshine Chick. Sunshine Chick says, enjoy the rest of your day and get well. I'm going to definitely do my best. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day as well. This has been Jay Balveo with Samatvam, the Yoga of Equanimity. If you're new, if you like this content, be sure to hit a like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one. So much love to you, and goodbye.